Hey everybody, Danny here. I just want to be honest with everyone for a sec. I think I'm a pretty bad board game reviewer. G'day everybody, it's Danny from Board Game Sanctuary and welcome to another Talking Sanctuary video where we talk about board games and life itself. In this video, I'm going to be chatting about bad board game reviews. I'm going to be looking at it from two different perspectives, one as a board game reviewer and one as a person who's looking for board games to buy. And looking at those two lenses is going to really shine a light on what I sort of look for when it comes to reviewing games, but also purchasing games into my collection. Now, just to put a little bit of a disclaimer out there, a lot of these views are my own experiences, so I'm only representing myself in this video and just sharing a really honest and open, intimate look into my brain and how I review and look at games. To start us off, I want to come from the angle of a board game reviewer. Now, I started this channel about 6 years ago, and the one thing that really captured me and really drew me into YouTubing was the fact that I really loved filmmaking, but I also loved board gaming as well, and I also love green things, as you can see. Now, I feel like as a board game reviewer, I'm not a really good reviewer because a lot of the times my own personal opinions and judgments are from the direct experiences that I have with a game. And I feel like I'm only representing my point of view. So what I think is a really good board game experience may not necessarily be a good board game experience for you. And this is where I feel like I'm quite insecure about this and how I feel like where my reviewing process is a little bit flawed. I feel like all I can do is be my true and honest self. And if I really enjoy a game and then I hear later on that other people didn't enjoy it, I feel like, did I do a disservice to that game? Did I make people, lose money because I recommended a game but they didn't like it? And then it really started a process of self-reflection on, what does it mean to review a game? There is no regulatory criteria that board game reviewers use. Anyone can kind of turn on a camera and play a game and review it and say how much they like it or dislike it. And I think what it comes down to for me is that it comes down to the experiences that we all have. As a reviewer, I can only really share my experiences of a game. I might prefer to only play a 2-player game or a 4-player game, and that's what I enjoy. But for other people, they may prefer to play games in big groups, or they may prefer, really crunchy Euros where there's a lot of decisions. It does really come down to, for my own experiences, your own personal preference and playstyle. I love games with a plant theme, that are nature-based, that are beautiful art, but also really good strategic decisions that are simple yet big in terms of scale, whereas other people might not like that. And I feel like over time, I haven't really conveyed those elements about myself as a reviewer to you guys as clearly as I would like. And I think here moving forward, I'd like to share a lot more of those opinions with you. A lot of the games I do review on this channel are games that I have purchased out of my own pocket. I've bought them, I've researched them, I've looked, at what style of games they are and just thought, that's a really great fit in my collection. But that doesn't mean that that game is a perfect fit for your collection. And this is where the huge conundrum and thought process in my brain has kindly just shot off. Games that, I say are good should be always taken with a grain of salt. Like, if I have a really bad experience with a game, I will mention those things and I will always speak honestly about those things. And as hard as it is to do, I may have spent, $100 or $80. If I can say a game is truly one that I really didn't enjoy, I will say it. And this really brings me to the title of the video. Are bad reviews good reviews? And I think the answer is a resounding yes. And the reason being is that bad reviews accentuate the flaws in a game. But not only does it do that, it actually helps for you to hear a really honest opinion about people's experiences. It's always really hard to say something negative about something where someone has put a lot of heart and a lot of effort into creating and publishing out into the wider world. So when it comes to negative reviews, I feel like they are actually the best reviews to read because they shed a light on some elements of the game that you may or may not like. And you know, sometimes when I read a review or when I give a review that's overwhelmingly positive, I often reflect afterwards and think, you know what, I probably should have mentioned a few more flaws in the game that people might not be aware of. And I think by having balanced positive and negative reviews, we can be more informed about our game choices and where our money is spent. I will often look on Board Game Geek for all the negative reviews for a game. So I'll often have a threshold of about an average Board Game Geek rating of about 7.1, 7.2 for a game if I'm thinking about getting it, or if I'm in the store and I'm looking it up. But I'll often really gravitate towards the lower end reviews where people have given it a 4 or given a game a 3 and really want to see their honest opinions on it. And I think looking at those honest opinions really gives you a sense of whether that game is suitable for you or not. Obviously, you look at the positive opinions as well. You know, if someone has said, you know, they played it 20 times and they really enjoyed the thinky decisions and so much to explore, then those are really valuable too. But I feel like looking at a negative review really checks in with me whether this is a game that's right for me. And sometimes I'll see a negative review and go, oh yeah, that's something actually I think is a positive, not a negative. And this is where the complexity of doing board game reviews is so open-ended, and I don't want to open the floodgates, but basically all reviews are incredibly biased because of your own experiences, our own personalities and desires and tastes. And I can only speak for myself that, you know, when I look at reviews or read reviews, you know, I have to kind of get in the mind of that person and what sort of experience they may have had before deciding if a game is really right for me. I mean, for me, I often look at the rules digitally online, I watch videos to get a better sense of a game before I purchase it into my collection. But it just really has kind of hit me this train of thought of, you know, what makes games good in general and what do we define as good games? I think ultimately what this comes down to is honesty, being fully transparent about how reviewers acquire games, also how much time they've spent playing the actual games and investing their personal time into exploring all of what that game has to offer, as well as delving into the different player counts and the strategies that you can explore. I have received reviewer copies of games in the past. Never have I ever received any money for it, but publishers often reached out to me and said, you know, here are a couple of games. Are you interested in reviewing some of them? And if you are interested, we'll send a copy or two your way. That is just me being absolutely transparent with you guys. I've never ever received any money for board game reviews, but I often feel like when you do receive a review copy of a game from a publisher, that does already inherently come with some sort of bias. It's almost like you owe the company your valued opinions. And I think when you do receive a review copy, it is so important to be transparent that that copy is one that was sent to you, that you didn't pay money for, and that the comments that you provide should be taken with a grain of salt, and that you should be as honest as you can with the reviews. And I think that transparency really helps to build context around how much someone has enjoyed a game. And for me, I found it really, really difficult to often find that distinguishing line between bias and authenticity. And I always review games where I feel that at the time, these were my authentic feelings about the game, and this is what I experienced directly. And often those feelings and thoughts will change after I've even made a review. So these days, I often review games that I am passionate about, games that I've purchased, games that I've really had a good level of experience with, where I feel comfortable about being honest and transparent and open with them. Now, when it comes to looking for board games that I want to get into my collection, I honestly try and avoid the hype. In fact, I'm someone who probably browses Kickstarters just to see what sort of games are coming up and coming along in the future, but I'm someone who likes to explore games that are readily available to everyone. I feel like accessibility to a board game is so important. Before I even review a game, I often think, is this game something that everyone can access right now? And when someone looks at a review video for a game, they want that game pretty much as soon as possible. And I know that if I watch a video for a game and I think, oh, this game's not available for another year or so, I'm probably going to lose a lot of interest in that game. So a lot of the reviews that do come out on my channel are ones that are readily available. Now, the other thing I like to suggest to people before buying a game is to find a way to try the game. So if you do see a couple of negative reviews, and sometimes I see a negative review, I try and see if there's a digital version of that game online and play it online first before actually investing in the physical copy. And I always ask myself, is there another game in my board game collection that does the same thing? And if it does, I tend to hold off a little bit more research. And then if I think, ooh, that game would be an enhancement to my game collection, I then go out and get it. If you really found this topic super helpful, please consider heading over to my Patreon page and joining up with Board Game Sanctuary. Otherwise, don't forget to hit the like or subscribe button for more interesting board game topics and cool content. This is Danny signing out. I'll see you guys soon. Goodbye.